Welcome to Fresh Music Flavor. I go by Shashisha, aka Alicia. Today we have our guests who are coming back to Fresh Music Flavor. I will let them introduce themselves. Who do we have tonight coming back to Fresh Music Flavor?
You have Sarah Téibo, a London-based worship leader, singer-songwriter, married with 2 kids, and I live in London. I think I said that already, so yeah.
Hey.
Oh, I'm supposed to introduce myself. I'm Tracey Jane Campbell. I'm a mother of 2 and a grandmother of 2.
Wow.
I live in the UK, in London.
Oh, wow. Welcome, ladies. Welcome back to Fresh Music Flavor. Guys, this time round is very, very different, okay? I'm sure you guys have seen what's been happening with Fresh Music Flavor. It is about Kingdom Talk. So it's something different, but this time it's Kingdom Talk. What do you guys think about the word Kingdom Talk?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I think kingdom obviously is really about God's will, God's counsel being fulfilled on earth. I mean, when Jesus taught us the prayer, taught us how to pray the Lord's Prayer, he said, your kingdom come and your will be done. And if those two are going in tandem, it means that essentially everything that we do should be in line with God's will and God's counsel. So I think Kingdom Talk, without being too spiritual or scriptural, is really about speaking God's mind and God's counsel. But I mean, that would be my idea.
Yeah.
What about you, Tracey?
It's no problem being scriptural. Everyone's idea of what scriptural is differs. So, but yeah, kingdom is where, to coin a very, the phrase that was used a long time, it's where God's rule is. It's where God's counsel, God's presence is, God's mind is, his way of being is established. And so when we discuss or talk, my mum would be, what does that look like in our discussion? And it should play out in how we speak and act and feel, think, etc.
Wow. Wow, it's really nice to hear what you ladies got to say. But you know what, every Kingdom Talk, we have different sessions, we have different talks. So today it's about productivity and fruitfulness. Can you guys just tell me a little bit about the 2 things I've just said? What is it for you guys?
Come on, Sarah.
No, I was going to let you go first.
Right. Productivity and fruitfulness. I think what this means to me has changed as I've grown older and had more life experience, because one would, when I was younger, you kind of taught actually productivity is busyness. Being busy, and that's what you kind of get drummed into. Busyness in ministry is productivity. Busyness running up and down is letting yourself be used by God. This is productivity. And I've grown to have very differing opinions about that. For me, productivity, yes, it can be what you put out, but it's also what's going on within you. What have you learned about yourself? How have you grown? How you conduct yourself? How you relate to people? How has that developed? How has the life of the Spirit grown in you? I think for me that has an outward manifestation. In your productivity. Some people might not be productive in our eyes in some ways, but they have amazing relationships, they've been healed and transformed from trauma. So what's the other word you use? Productivity and what?
Fruitfulness.
And fruitfulness. And I think the fruit of our lips, that fruit of our lips, giving thanks unto God. Fruitfulness, though, for me is what is born out of your journey, what is born out of the interaction of Christ in you. And that fruitfulness, it differs for each person. And I think we can get caught up in thinking we can always see certain fruitfulness in certain ways. If you came out of trauma and you didn't have a good relationship with your parents, and over years that relationship has been transformed, that is amazingly fruitful. Most people will not have any clue about that, and they might think, oh well, you know, I can see you've done this and this, but there's so much more to productivity and fruitfulness. And the hope is that these things will show outwardly your ability to go forward in life in the will of God and in certain things. That's a really kind of short answer.
Yeah.
I think it's a very broad question though.
It is.
No. Yeah, go on then, Sarah. What about you? What do you
yeah, I mean, when you first asked the question, the first thing that popped in my mind is not being busy for the sake of being busy, which is what, you know, Tracey's already kind of alluded to, because we live in an age where you have to almost validate your existence by showing proof of everything you do on social media. And honestly, I've gotten to the point, as Tracey said, where I just can't be bothered. You know, I know I do a lot of stuff. Half the things I do, I don't even remember to take my camera out to take a picture.
My sister.
Sometimes I'm like, yeah, look, you know, and sometimes I'm like, yeah, I need to show the evidence with this particular thing. But like, there's so much stuff that you're doing, and you really just can't be busy for the sake of it or just for the sake of showing off. That's not productivity. Productivity is really about value. It's about what value are you creating. You know, you could be walking up and down the streets, but are you actually creating any value? You could be going to every event, singing at every concert, looking for every opportunity to be on a flyer, but are you actually adding value? You know, not just to the places that you've been invited to, but to the people that you interact with.
Exactly.
You know, sometimes because I do this mentoring, music business mentoring, sometimes I speak to just the one person, but that one person, I'd much rather spend time sowing and pouring into them, creating that value in that person, enabling them to go and do greater things. And nobody ever needs to know that we spoke. I'm not going to go on social media, but I just had a chat with, and nobody knows when we have our mentoring sessions, but that's stuff happening in the background, and that's value being created, which is more than streams on, you know, Spotify, because investing in people, I think, is the biggest and the most fulfilling and rewarding investments that we can make, and it lasts more than anything that you create. Investing in people and following God's will. And in terms of fruitfulness, I would say, and again, you know, Tracey's kind of alluded to it as well, in terms of fruitfulness, it's about your fruit. And the Bible says that by their fruit you shall know them, which means that each individual has a fruit that is unique to them. And we can't measure our success and our fruitfulness by other people. A mango tree will never produce oranges, and so when it produces mangoes, it should not be comparing itself to an orange tree. You know, a coconut tree would always produce certain things at certain times, and it should not get upset if its fruit is so high up that people can't reach. You need to be desperate to catch the coconut, to grab the coconut. You're not going to be doing low-hanging grapes, you know. So I think sometimes we get caught up, and again, social media doesn't really help because everything's out there, but we get caught up on other people's fruitfulness that we forget to see our fruitfulness. And something Tracey said about, you know, you may be healed in a traumatic relationship with your parents, and nobody's going to see that, but that is fruitfulness, because that is an area, if you're a minister, it needs to be fixed in order for you to minister and be fruitful in other ways. So I think, to kind of sum it up when it comes to productivity and fruitfulness, it's to do not be distracted by the things that are going on, and do not allow comparison kill your joy, because in your own space you're fruitful, but you need to recognize that and celebrate that.
That's it. In terms of productivity, how do you guys, you know, not neglect it at all in terms of your music, in terms of your family life, in terms of your self-being? How do you guys come about with this productivity?
So like balance, right? Balancing life, personal life, family life, ministry. It's a manic and insane juggling act, trying to hold the balls in the air. Literally just before I came onto this session, I have done my day job, taken my daughter swimming, made dinner, helped her with her piano lessons, and then came and sat down here. So and it's all about kind of planning things ahead and compartmentalizing. I know some parts of my life are a bit askew and out of whack compared to others, and that is really self-care. I think I need a manicure and pedicure. It's well overdue. So it's things like that tend to suffer.
You've got to take a minute and do it.
Yeah, it's like, when am I going to ever get to do this? But again, it's about prioritizing, and I think I need to actually do a bit more for myself this year. I put it out there, but it's tough, when you have all these different things to do. But we just have to make it work,
Yeah, and in terms of your music as well, how do you juggle all of it? Because at the end of the day, it is quite a lot. Because if you think about it, like you've just said, you've had to take your daughter swimming, you've had to do piano, you've had to cook. Where do you find this productivity time for your music? I don't know.
I could, and I'm going to let Tracey go on this as well, but I could say the brilliant thing about music is it comes in seasons. You're not constantly creating music every single day, So it's about, planning ahead and knowing, okay, I've got a project and I'm going to be working on it in this, time frame or time window as much as you can. Stick to the plan, and really it's about planning. When it comes to the music side of things, it's about planning and then working everything around that plan. But for me, the priority is family. And so if I have a project like a new album or whatever, I would try and book time off work so that I have time for the kids whilst I'm also doing all the manic things I need to do around a release, for example, or going to studio. If I have to, I take the kids, but it really, you have to prioritize family in the midst of everything that you do. That's my personal position.
I mean,
what about you, Tracey?
My experience, I'm further down the road in terms of that. And I think because I did music, when I had my children, when they were smaller, I was in that phase of traveling a lot, traveling to different churches. I'm doing women's ministry, which I still do, women's ministry and mentoring and stuff. I was saying I was constantly on the move. I was constantly busy. And I was I got married, that was very traumatic, got divorced, had the 2 children, and I was answering the call, so to speak. So I was everywhere, and my children were always with me. They were like my handbags,
exactly.
They were everything I did. I've got the people would know me coming to do workshops, or God has been really good to me, and He has enabled me to have a network where I was working. I was doing also corporate things and different things, but He enabled me to have people that opened doors for me that I could bring my children, and it was phenomenal. And I didn't, at the time you're just rushing from one thing to the other. I was also teaching in schools, and the amount was, I didn't think about self-care and all of that at that point. It was not a discussion. It was like, I have to get up, I have to be mum, I have to be Minister Tracey over there, and I'm doing these things, and in everything I was doing, I wanted to do. My planning was, I suppose, in one way, my planning was excellent because I was able to schedule all these things. But in another way, there was not a plan of, I need to take time out to do this, or that wasn't the case. It was just, if somebody called me, I was ever available. Ever available. People called me. In terms of women's ministry, I was dealing with and do deal with trauma. So my phone was always on. I was always accessible, and I don't regret those things because I learned a lot. But I have changed the way I operate. Obviously, my children have grown up, so I'm not in that phase anymore. But I've got the pups now. And and still doing lots of things, but I've learned that actually I can give the best of myself when I am deciding what is the best use of my time, and deciding carving out time for myself, carving out time for the women that that are in my life, that I pour into, and like Sarah was saying, literally prioritizing stuff and putting things, everything has to be carved into its space, which is not easy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it has to be. And in that diary, I remember many years ago when I was going through a lot of restoration and healing, one of the things I started to do was put myself in my diary. Because my diary was everything. Everything was, first it was the little book, then it was the diary on the phone. And I started, you notice, if you're not careful, that week will be filled, and you're just going from place to place. So I decided, because I live by my calendar and my diary, then I'm going to put myself in my diary. And I decided, when I do put myself in my diary for 2 hours, I just put my name in for an hour or 2 hours or whatever, unless it's an emergency.
That's your time.
When someone calls me to do something, I say, I have an appointment. I'm not lying. I've got an appointment with myself. And in the early days, I used to, you feel obligated to say, well, I'm not really available because. There's no because. I have appointment. And that really helped me. But when you I'm not going to go into all the trauma thing, but a trauma response is wanting to always be available. That's what I was doing. Nobody told me that at the time. They're just talking about your call, which, yes, I am called and I'm answering that and I give God thanks. But they don't tell you about the other things that go into how you behave with that thing. For as far as I'm concerned, everybody is doing ministry. Or should be, should I say.
Yeah, fair enough.
If you're in the kingdom, you're in ministry. So this kind of thing, I'm a minister and I'm a whatever. I'm not even going to go down there. But they don't tell you that there's things that play into how you do that ministry. How much time it can feel like I'm a very giving person. I'm always available. When actually, no. You have to look at that. You have to look at that. Take some time and look at what that is coming from. And if that is just you just being outpouring and giving, or do you have to look at some things? So I started to put myself in my calendar and make sure that I have an appointment with myself. Now I could just be sitting down. I could be reading a book. I could be going to get my hair done. I could be looking at the sky. I could be going for a walk. It doesn't matter what I'm doing,
I
because
will definitely take that,
doing nothing is doing something.
Yeah.
It really is. And we can be fooled. And I know it's a constant, thing you have to adjust yourself into. If you're not doing anything, you're not doing anything. But let me tell you something, sitting down, just taking in, breathing, going for a walk, it is something. It's not nothing you're doing. And I think that's important. So putting myself in my calendar was one of the ways I kind of helped myself not be like on a rat race.
So if I've understood, it's about balancing and obviously keeping track of everything that you do in your day-to-day life, in terms of your family, in terms of your music, in terms of your career. So it's about balancing, isn't it? Having the balance of everything that you do. Now, I want to know, in terms of fruitfulness, how do you measure? How do you measure the fruitfulness of your ministry? How do you guys measure that? Because it isn't easy. Like we've said, it's not easy at all. But how do you guys, measure that fruitfulness in your ministry?
It's a really tough one, you see, because we're bombarded with all kinds of metrics, every day. If it's not your followers on social media, it's your streams on, the platforms, or your views on YouTube, or how many gigs you've done in a month. It's just insane. There's so many metrics, if you like, which, because you use the word measure, one would be inclined to think of, by what means do we measure? And you have all these things which in a way do measure productivity or fruitfulness, or success or performance. But I think more than any of that, because in all honesty, those numbers, they are not even the correct indication of, they are an indication, I should say, of results, success, and so on, but they are not the correct indication, because one single soul is all it takes. I remember there was a time I released a song, and I was just looking at the stats, and I was not very happy with the stats, and God reminded me. He said, you do know that in the parable of the lost sheep, he left the 99 for the one. So that one person was all that mattered. If it was just for one person, that is job done. And so he made me realize that if it's just one stream you have and one person has heard the song and didn't commit suicide, you just don't know what the person who's on the other end of the device is going through when they listen to your music. So it's really hard to measure, because we have all these metrics which are an indication, but they're not even the true indication, because in the lives of those individuals who are listening to the music, who are in the churches where we minister, who interact with us on a day-to-day, we don't know the true impact that the music is having on their lives. I mean, I love reading the comments in my YouTube videos, because I've seen so many people talk about, going through very difficult. That's the only indication, is when I get these comments back. And for me, that is how I measure my success. So when people say to me, oh, I've been going through a very depressing season and listening to this song on repeat has helped me through, I forget about the number of views. It's that one comment. I kind of it really encourages me. Somebody was going through cancer treatment on my second album. They were listening to some songs, Keep Walking, and that helped them through their cancer treatment. And I got a message sent to me by a friend of that person. They said, I have to send this message to you because this person told me about what they're going through. And it coincidentally, that happened on a day when I was a bit what's the word now? A bit underwhelmed, if you like, because I'm like, oh, I don't have this or that and the other. But when that testimony came through, I'm thinking, do you know what? This is really what matters. So it's not our place to measure success, because the reality is we would never know the true impact of the music that God has gifted us with in the lives of the people who listen.
So true. Wow.
Yeah.
What about you, Tracey? How do you?
Well, along the same lines, actually, and for me, I've only just started doing measuring by any kind of metric business. It was always, for me, has been a physical thing. So I never thought about how I measure my success in that way. These terms I've only just started even paying any attention to whatsoever at the behest of many people. But it was always about the interactions I had with people when I was at conferences or small groups and stuff like that. It was about that feedback, that continual feedback about what their experience with me, whether that be when I was singing or whether I was with them one-on-one, what impact the Lord was able to have in their life through me. And like Sarah said, it's an amazing thing. Just when you look at people as more than clicks and streams and stuff, not that these things are not important, not that these things you don't want to improve these things. This is not to say that, but it is to recognize that what we are called to do is bring presence, is to be hands and feet and a mouth and a shoulder, or whatever, wherever you're called to fit in. And the impact you have on people, and for me, predominantly in women's ministry, with women that are going through things and have come through, or you talk to them and pray with them after events. That one of my favorite things when I do tours is after the concert. It's not the concert. The concert's amazing, but it's afterwards. And it's the going, and I love to go and talk and pray with people. It's an amazing thing, and I think I've always thought about it in terms of people, in terms of that communication, their response. What have they been able to move on? Has something, like Sarah said, has something been able to support them through a journey, bring them to a new realization and understanding? And for me, that was, and the Lord is my measure. And if through my journey of healing, it would be always amazing. I'm so grateful for the things He's done in me, that He has used to help other people. And I'm not a believer in that doctrine of God made it happen, because I don't believe that at all. But the things that He has caused to be used to touch other people, to help them move to the next part of their journey. And I think that's the measure the measure that is the most important, but all these things can be used as indicators of, I don't know, success is again very by what measure, whose success. So if you you might maybe want to put it into a different categories, so you can measure success in different ways. But for me, that was my predominant thing. Okay, am I in the right place? Am I doing what I've been made to do? Am I, if I'm doing what I believe I've been formed and made and created to do, and that's working, and if that needs to change, am I open to flowing with how God is directing me today, or am I thinking that I was here so I have to stay here? All these things I measure things by my journey, and it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. I think we need to be open to being able to deal with all the different ways of measuring success for ourselves as well, looking at things and looking at where we want to improve. Because I think if you look at things from that way, it could be improving internally, or it could be, I want to improve how my music is going forward, where it's all these things are important, as long as we keep the main thing.
Wow.
And that is people. It's people are the thing.
Ladies. Right, so ladies, honestly, I am so happy to hear what you guys have said, and I'm hoping to take what you guys have said today, to put it in my everyday life. And I am sure as well, people that are listening to this today will learn so much from what you ladies have given, and I'm sure they will implement it into their everyday life. But you know what? We're going to switch it up a little bit, because I want to know about you guys, about your music, about what you guys have been up to. But before we just get into that, we're going to play a little game first. So we're going to get down to a little game. Tracey, we've done this before, so I know.
Lord have mercy.
And Sarah, she did well last time. She did well. Tracey, you got to step up today. You got to step up.
We're going to see what's going to happen here now.
Let's see,
All right. So let me tell you guys. So we're going to play a few tracks. Maybe, I believe, we're probably going to do 2 or 3 tracks. And you guys need to tell me what is it? The song that you should do. Okay. So you guys need to tell me what the song is. That's what I want to know.
Okay.
We'll try.
The song and the name of the artist.
Okay.
So
Both.
the name of the artist is 1 point, and the song is 1 point. So it's 2 points.
So it's the song and the name of the artist. Okay. Can you hear it?
Yep. Just about.
So it's only going to be 10 seconds.
It's very low. It's very low.
Oh, hold on. Better?
I can't make it out.
Yay! Fred Hammond, ordered.
I couldn't even hear it.
Okay.
But you know what I was doing? So I was trying to do a little... I was trying to put some effect on it. That's why.
Oh wow! Well,
maybe the effect should be. Maybe you could leave the effect. Maybe that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
But it was extremely low, and I only got it because I heard wheel wheel wheel. Sorry.
Okay.
Stupid things that make songs come to mind.
Right, ladies, I'm about to play a track for you guys. So I'm only gonna play 10 seconds of the track. 10 seconds. So get your ears ready, because it's only going to be 10 seconds. Yeah?
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
Let's go.
Oh, this is Kimberell, Holy Ghost.
Oh!
Can't even.
Sarah, we give that to Sarah. Well done. Okay, I'm just gonna play the last track now, and let's finish it off by that track, and then you guys are going to tell me a little bit about what you guys have been up to. Here comes another track, so get yourself ready.
Oh, Yolanda Adams. So I need to talk to you.
Title?
What's the title? What's the title?
Oh, I'm singing the chorus in my head. What's that song called? So I need to talk to you, and ask you for your guidance, especially today. I open up my heart.
Well done. Yeah, it's Open Up My Heart. Well done.
Okay.
Right, ladies, that was just for us to just get into our music side of it. But now, ladies, talk to me a little bit about what you guys have been up to, what you guys are planning on doing in the next 6 months or maybe a year. Talk to me a little bit about what you guys have got coming up. Anyone can start.
So I put an album out in July 2021, and I'm still in the process of kind of promoting that. But in the midst of that, I've put out a new single in February, just about 2 weeks ago, and it's one of the remixes from the album. It's a remix of a song on the album, and over the course of the next few months, I'll be putting out more remixes of the same song, just to kind of reinterpret the song in different ways. The next one coming out is the Amapiano version of the song. It's called Belongs to You.
So undeserving of all the mercy, but still you shower me. So my praise flows like a river, burns like a fire, now and forever. It all belongs to you. It belongs to you.
And then after that, it's going to be an R&B version. So I'm just kind of reinterpreting and delivering the song in different ways, in different musical styles. I think it's fun. I think it's great to not just box oneself in a particular sound. But yeah,
Absolutely.
and then we'll see what happens in the coming.
But so
months. But that's the priority for now.
If our listeners wanted to catch, your music, or wanted to get to know you a bit more, had any sort of collab that they wanted to do, where can they catch you in terms of your music, in terms of what you do?
So all my music is on, all the regular streaming platforms: Spotify, YouTube, Apple, Amazon. What else do we have? And the easiest way to contact me could be by email if you're the emailing type. So email music@sarahtéibo.co.uk, or you could DM me on Instagram. It's Sarah Téibo Music on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm quite responsive, and I've been excited to hear from you, whatever it is that you want to chat to me about.
Oh, lovely. So I can't wait to actually hear the remix of It Belongs to You. Honestly, I cannot wait. So yeah, I look forward to that. To all the different type of remix.
No, the first one came out 2 weeks ago. That was a EDM remix. So we've got 3 more coming out, and then
Wow, I literally can't wait. But guys, you know what? You will get to see, the latest track of Sarah Téibo at the end of this show. But Tracey, coming to you now, tell me a little bit about what you've got coming up, what's been happening, or what's happening, in a few weeks or a few months' time. Tell me a little bit about what's happening.
Well, I've been on a journey, just started. I just recently released a new single called More Than Yesterday.
But your love will still remain. I want God more than yesterday, more than things that fade, more than visions of this world that take my breath away, more than hopes and dreams, more than fleeting things. If I could have one thing.
Title track for my album that I shall be releasing. So the plan is I have a couple more singles to release, and then the album will come out, and I will spend time basically promoting those songs and that album. I have a few events in the offing in the months to come, and really it's going to be about spreading the word and letting people hear my music and promoting. That's where my head is at for the coming season. So I'm really excited about it, actually. Really I'm excited. And I'm glad Sarah's doing remixes, because I love a remix.
Yeah.
Man, just different genres. It's lovely, it's exciting.
It's nice.
So that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Wow. But Tracey, tell me, where can our listeners catch your music? Where can they catch you?
I'm literally going to reiterate what Sarah said. You can email me. My email is hello@traceyjanecampbell.com if you want any email. But also you can send me an Instagram message. Instagram's the best one. DM. I will get back to people quite quickly on there, and it's very easy. And for music, I'm on all the streaming platforms and iTunes and whatnot, and my YouTube channel is Tracey Jane Campbell Music. Messaging me on Instagram is probably quick, but if you are an email person, hello@traceyjanecampbell.com.
Wow. Guys, you have heard it. Tracey's got an album coming out, and obviously Sarah has got a lot of remix. You said 2, right? 2 remixes coming out. 4.
She's doing 4. Right?
She's doing 4.
Yeah.
Right, so you've heard Sarah's got 4 remix coming out. But you know what, ladies? It's been a pleasure having you guys in the house as usual. And you know what? I'm so happy to have you here. And I am so grateful that we have amazing things coming out your way. So yeah, just wanted to say thank you for coming through.
Thank you. Thanks for
Thank you for having me. Us.
No
Thank
worries.
you.
Right. So hopefully we'll see you guys very soon. And I shall see you very, very soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Right, ladies. You're listening to a fresh music flavor.